All right, so today we're going to be going through the perfect fencing and decking customer journey. So we're going to be going through everything related to the entire customer experience and dialing in all the different touch points you have and finding ways you can improve every little piece in this journey to help get more customers and help make more sales. All right, so if you wouldn't mind, give me your undivided attention. We spent a lot of time putting these slides together, and there's a lot of good information on here that will definitely help your business. So if you could turn off your phone, your social media, give me your full attention, I would appreciate it, and I'll do the same here now. All right, so what we're going to cover. So we want to make sure we have a firm understanding of the customer. You might think you have a firm understanding, but without really thinking of all the little details and kind of mapping out all the different people you converse with each time, it's hard to know exactly how you can better your process and your everything within your business to, help make a better customer experience, which is going to make you guys more money and, sell more jobs. So we want to make sure we're improving that better experience for the customers. And then any type of potential issues that could come up or that have come up previously, we want to get ahead of those so we can avoid them in the future. And then reducing customer acquisition costs because when we're dialed in, we know exactly what type of customer we want. And our marketing goes after that. We can get cheaper leads and then, longer lifetime value and also more referrals. So who am I and why should you listen to me? My name's Alex Danner, and I'm the founder and owner of Fence and Deck Marketers, and we are a digital marketing agency that works only with fencing and decking businesses. We've been doing SEO and digital marketing for a long time, about 10 years now. First started with website development and originally started working with all types of businesses, mostly home service contractors, but due to having really good success with fencing and decking, we decided to narrow down and just have a agency specific to those. Aside from the business success there, I have a big property in Pennsylvania where we have 300 acres of high deer fence, so it's 10 feet tall and it's constantly getting hit by trees. Helped install it from the beginning, but now we're just doing a lot of maintenance on it, and it's a lot of backbreaking work. So anybody in these industries, we have a lot of respect for them. I know it's hard work, and someone's got to do it. So we only work with fencing and decking businesses. That's what we do every day. The whole team is basically just committed to growing these types of businesses. If you have a business that does fencing or decking primarily and do other types of services, we do work with those as well, but it has to be one of the services offered in order for us to work with you. But that is our main focus, getting more fencing and decking leads for these types of companies. All right, so we'll get into the substance of the webinar. Basically, our whole system at Fence and Deck Marketers revolves around the omnipresence marketing system. There's 3 principles to it. The first one's going to be maximize opportunities. This is all about having a lot of lines in the water. There's a lot of way to bring in new business, get more leads. So we talk a lot. We have a lot of ways that we do that with our agency. Anything. For your website to SEO, Google ads, any kind of paid ads, we do all of that. But since we're talking about the customer journey today, we're going to be relating everything back to that, and maximizing opportunities is kind of more the awareness stage that we're going to get into of the customer journey, which is the very beginning. So people have to be aware of you, have to know who you are. Second core principle is going to be maximizing brand impressions. So this is also kind of towards the awareness stage and also kind of going into the delivery stage. It's that rule of 7 with marketing. The old rule is somebody needs to see your business 7 times before they actually buy from it. But now it's more like, I've seen studies, it's more like 21 because everyone's bombarded with advertisements and social media. So you got to make sure you get eyeballs on your brand. They know about you. That's what's going to lead to success with the business. So the third one is going to be maximizing conversions. So once you have all these leads coming in, people know who you are, then you got to actually convert them, right? There's a lot of ways you can convert online or also in person. Today's going to be more about the offline ways to convert people, convert customers, and it's really just important in all stages of the cycle. You know, when they first contact you, all the way to when you actually do the quote and you go out and visit the customer, all the way to, you know, asking for them for a review, you know, towards the end. All right, so I want to make this interactive. If you wouldn't mind just putting in the chat, what are the biggest challenges that you face in creating a world-class customer experience for your fencing or decking business? Just to give you a couple options, if you're trying to think of it, you know, maybe you have poor communication, just lack of overall touch points, maybe organization as well. If you have anything, put it in the chat. So James says communication, definitely. That is always, or a lot of the times, one of the big problems, especially with all the different types of communication that you can have with a customer, internally or externally with a customer. A lot of things can kind of get lost. So we do see that. I'm going to go through some more here in a second too. One of the ones that always, this, I think everybody can relate to that, not even in a business, but there's always issues popping up. You know, there's always something. That's a saying everybody says. There's always something, and there is. You know, you tackle one thing and then something else pops up. You know, fencing related or decking related, maybe there's less customers now that COVID has died down. Maybe you have problems with employees calling out sick or quitting. You know, maybe you have high turnover. A really big one I've heard for a while is not being enough people to find to work for you. With everything on the internet these days, a lot of the younger people there aren't as many people willing to do the hard work involved with fencing and decking. But when you do this, it just makes you very reactive in your business. I don't think any of us want to be reactive, but things just come up. You got to solve them. You got to fix it. Got to put that fire out and then go back, hoping you have enough time to be more proactive in your business, which is what we're going to talk about, how you can, you know, find that time and spend the time to improve your business. Okay, so another problem, inconsistency from one customer to the next. So if you don't have systems or checklists that the employees of your company need to be doing, they're going to forget it eventually. You know, people get tired. It's a hard job putting in a fence or a deck. By the end of it, everyone wants to go home and go to bed or eat, whatever. So when they're tired, they're going to forget things. So you have to have a system in place to make sure everything gets done that needs to get done, and make sure anybody that's responsible for, you know, your job supervisors, make sure everything gets done at the end. But, you know, things come up. Maybe their job supervisor just didn't have the time or forgot to inspect the property after the job was done, or maybe it's a certain thorough inspection. You know, every property is different, so maybe they just forgot something. You know, maybe the sales guy didn't follow the same process. You know, maybe he promised something that wasn't possible or out of scope. You know, if crews are late, they have problems finding the job, or they just woke up late, whatever. But everything seems to be going wrong. It happens. We're going to be working on ways to fix that. Another problem. So lack of ability to create raving fans and referrals. So the whole idea of your business is to not just have to pour money into getting leads and paying for leads online. That's a great way to get business, but you want to turn that one customer into 5 customers. And you want people to tell others about the experience, so you get more jobs from there. So turn one client into 5 clients, that kind of thing. But, you know, sometimes, like I said, people just get tired and they do the minimum. They just do enough to get by. They're not paying enough attention to the customer experience and what the customer wants, asking them what they could possibly do to make the experience better, and going out of their way to really blow away the customer, and provide the world's, you know, a world-class experience. Once you do that and you do all these little things, you're going to be much more sticky. You know, they're going to remember you. They're going to refer you. If they need another job that you can handle, they're going to call you. So you just have to do everything you can to blow them away and do the things others aren't doing. Okay, so now we talked about the problems, we're going to go on to the opportunities. So the great opportunity is you can build a process for pretty much everything. And over time, you can perfect these processes. It's probably something a lot of you have done, is especially earlier on, businesses tend to copy each other. So you look at the big guys that's making, big fencing company making 5 million a year, 10 million a year, and you're like, I want to be like them. I'm making under $1 million. So you start doing all the things that they're doing, just copying them. The problem with that is you could be copying older processes. They could be doing a lot of things right, and that's fine to mimic that. But you want to ask yourself, why is everyone doing this? Why is every single person, is this even the right thing to do, or is there a better way to do it? If you sit down and think of this instead of just copying everything else everyone else is doing, those are going to be little things that people are going to remember. Because if you're just doing everything the same, there's going to be absolutely nothing different about you. You're not going to be as memorable in their eyes. As a communication example of ways you could build a process, you need to make sure the salesperson or who's going out to give the quote is giving every single is discussing every single thing that they need to with the customer, making sure they know all the variables, what's involved. So when they give a quote, they know what's there, and they don't come back later and say, oh, I thought this is included when it's not. And also timeline. So they got to know exactly how long it's going to take. If it's a day job, if it's going to be multiple days, you got to let them know. Communication, there's a lot of ways to streamline it too. If you send reminders about when people are coming to the job site, things like that, letting them know you're going to be there in an hour, things like that, give them a call and do the same thing. But automations are always a good idea, but having a personal touch is welcomed or encouraged. Okay, so when you have these processes, it's going to allow you to create a consistent world-class customer experience. I think we've all experienced this before, a world-class experience, not necessarily even with a home contractor, but maybe you're at a restaurant or a hotel. If you ever stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, they're well known for this. They go above and beyond. They do everything. They take care of your luggage. They have people that come to your room at any time of the day and deliver literally whatever you need. So they're always seen, there's a reason why everyone says things are ritzy, because they're well known for that. They're well known for their experience. As another example, you don't always have to do everything perfect, but having some things that are memorable with the customer. Going back to the hotel example, I was staying at one in Florida, West Palm Beach, and I noticed that every single employee, wherever I walked, would turn and say hello. Even if they were kind of inconvenient, they would always say hello, hold the doors, things like that. And that kind of stuck out to me because most people don't do that. Hotel employees, if they're ahead of you or they're just inconvenient, they'll just ignore you. So very little, it doesn't take much time, but it's something I remembered and something I told people about. But on the opposite side, everybody's had terrible experiences. When we were hiring painters, we had painters that come out to give estimates, and some of the guys came in and were just borderline rude, just as if they didn't really want to be there, not being helpful whatsoever. And then there were others that were extremely helpful. Who do you think were the ones who were remembered and then hired? Same thing with fencing. They want to work with people they like. Okay, so another opportunity when you're creating these raving fans, getting more referrals, it's all about becoming the go-to fencing or decking company in your area. So basically, if you want to become that company, that way, even when things are slow, the economy's tightening like it is right now, you need to keep moving forward. Having that brand or that well-known reputation is what's going to help you get through those times. You want to be known as a company that delivers the best experience, because think about it this way. Have you ever been referred a certain company from a friend or family member, and they gave it extremely high praise? You instinctively will go and kind of research the company, but you're hoping that would just work out because they basically did a good job for your friend or family member, more than likely you're kind of starting ahead that they're going to do a good job for you. So you want them to be the one that wins, and they're going to be higher up on your pecking order. So even if it's a little bit higher, the price is a little bit higher, you still have that up. So that's where that customer experience and that referral, word of mouth really comes in. Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual specifics of the customer journey. What exactly is a customer journey? So it is the set of interactions that a customer has with a brand in buying a service or product, in our case, a service, from brand discovery all the way to actually purchasing and going forward with the job. So everything from buying all the way to everything in the future. So that future part is something that's forgotten about a lot. You know, how important it can be to make sure you get referrals and have the experience so well that people come back to you. You want customers, well, for example, fencing or decking, you know, people aren't getting a new fence or deck every single year. You know, they come back later on, you know, they'll come back when they really need it. So with fencing or decking, the important thing is to offer another service. So if you offer staining services, they can come back, you know, when it starts to wear down, if they have, you know, especially when they have wood decks. Also, maybe they have a deck that you installed and they realize they don't have a shed and they want to store their tractor or whatever underneath the deck. You offer deck drainage solutions. Fencing, same thing. Maybe they want to stain it, or maybe you do gates. They want to put a nice automated gate on their driveway, that kind of thing. But at the very least, you want them referring people. So even if they don't come back for another service, if you blow them away, they're going to be more likely to refer you. Okay, so why is it so important to have this customer journey? The biggest thing is you got to have an understanding of your customers and very granular details. Once you have a better understanding of your customer, you'll know how to satisfy their wants and needs. To do that, we create a customer avatar. So basically, this is going to be all about creating a buyer persona. So somebody where we can describe somebody that is the typical person we deal with. The typical person we deal with, the type of customer we want most, that's going to be what's included in, you know, in those customer avatars. When you understand their wants and needs more too, you know, you can build more empathy, which is going to lead to more trust. You know, if you're helping them out and walking them through the process, something they're nervous about, if they're spending a lot of money on something, you know, they're going to have a lot more trust with you. All right. So on top of that, it's going to create a better experience for your customer. We're going to dig deeper into this a little bit, but the whole journey, customer journey map is really about understanding every part of the process. And like I said, we're going to have a whole map that goes through this. I'll show you here in a second. Avoid potential issues ahead of time. So making sure that we knock out anything that could happen, you know, think of potential problems that have happened before and make sure we don't do them again. I'm sure this is something that most people here have encountered, is color selection or material selection. As an example, maybe the color of the fence, or even more, maybe a composite deck. But drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever had color selection issues. You know, you said, gave them the options, you know, they showed you on your computer or maybe a printout, and then they made the choice and then you installed it. And then they were like, this isn't what I want. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever seen that. All right, looks like we got a couple ones. Sure that comes up, you know. I've heard of businesses that actually confirm the color 4 different times. So, and it's definitely recommended to do it more than once. If somebody's actually, I guess, not sure what they want, they hadn't done enough research and they choose a color, you know, they might not be as sure the next time. So you want to make sure you confirm that before you order a ton of material for it. All right, so another really important part of this is reducing costs and driving results. Because at the end, all of this is going to result in reducing how much you actually pay to get customers, excuse me, and increasing that customer loyalty and lifetime value. So getting them to come back. it really helps you make the most out of your budget when you speak to a specific persona, because all your marketing is going to be tailored to them specifically. So they're going to be, you're not going to be wasting it on other people that aren't as interested. There's an old marketing saying that the company that can spend the most to acquire a customer will win. So if you know what your business customer experience is like, it's been dialed in, you follow this webinar and do a great job with it. If you know that one customer will then turn into 5 customers, by telling friends or family, or additional services you offer, then you're going to be much more willing to spend more per customer. That's kind of what it comes down to. And 83% of contractors do rely on referrals for new businesses, especially ones that aren't using digital marketing or a lot of marketing areas. So in my webinars that I create, this one is the least to do with digital marketing, but all the rest of them, I'm always talking about ways you can get leads. But if you do want to rely on referrals, everybody wants referrals as the easiest jobs, cheapest leads. You need to make sure that the customer journey is laid out properly. Okay, so we talked about the customer journey. Now we're going to be talking more, getting into the actual map that we're going to be creating. So the customer journey map is really a diagram that shows the whole process that a customer goes through and how they're dealing with the entire process and thinking about it. It shows how they kind of move through each phase and the interactions, the touch points that they have, and their feelings, their frustration, confusion they might have with the process, so you can address them. They are shown, on a timeline. So we're going to go from the initial point of contact all the way to the deal is done, the job was actually completed, and then you're moving on to hoping to get them to come back as a future customer. All right, so this is what it looks like. We're going to go through an example that fills this out, and I'm going to go through each one of these specifically. But the top, these vertical headers, these are going to be the customer actions, doing, thinking, touch points, the pain they might be experiencing, the opportunities to solve that pain. And then the horizontal is going to be your awareness, your interest and consideration, the purchase and decision, delivery, and loyalty. And again, we'll be going through these each individually. Okay, so as we get started with this, we're going to be talking about the buyer personas and kind of what you need to do to figure out who they are, who these different types of people that are trying to get a fence or a deck from you. So here's just a couple examples. Paul, a 52-year-old plumber, has been living in his house for 20 years and hasn't had great experiences with contractors. He always thinks they're trying to cheat him or overcharge, but he's a family man who loves to hunt and fish, and he can't wait for retirement. Whereas Michelle, younger generation, 32-year-old marketing manager who uses technology very intensely. I'm sure you guys have come across this, especially younger generations, where they want to know everything about the process. They want to learn all about it. And in this particular case, they've never hired a contractor before. So they're relying on online reviews and research to figure out what decision they want to make. Just seeing these two here, I would think you could agree that it would be a different strategy to selling them. Having a little bit of variation would definitely help. So continuing with that research, you want to start with just one persona and one scenario to research and visualize at a time. So you sit down, you start to think about the perfect customer, the person who you're interacting with most often. And there's a lot of key insights you could have, but some of them might be, how did the customer initially find your brand? How easy or difficult did they find it to book an appointment? And what problem did your brand solve or didn't solve for the customer? Okay, so when you're doing this research, here's some ways that you can get a ton of information and build those buyer personas. So first one, pretty obvious, conduct interviews with the customers. Ask them how they found you. Did they find you online? Did they hear about you from a friend or a family member? Maybe they drove past a neighbor's fence and they saw your sign on it. Once they are your customer and you fulfilled, ask them about the whole experience, from the consultation and the installation. ask them how the whole entire process went. That's going to give you a lot of feedback, and really ask them a bunch of questions. A lot of times people will just say, "Oh, it was good." Ask them what was good about it. What did they like? What did they not like? That kind of thing. Talk to the employees that are actually talking with the customers. Get some feedback there. If somebody was turned off by a certain thing, one of the sales guys said, maybe you need to adjust it based off that potential buyer. Recorded calls. So if you're doing tracking phone numbers on your website, which you should be, you can record calls on there and go back and listen to them. You're going to get a lot of information there. Email surveys to existing customers, just asking how things went. Hopefully you're using a CRM to track your customers, so you'll have all those leads stored somewhere. You want to make sure you're using that to follow up with them and ask them how this service was. Customer complaints and reviews. So look at your reviews, see what people are saying, what they really liked. If they went out of their way to mention a certain thing they really liked, you got to make sure that's part of your process to do it every time. Same thing with things you did poor, make sure that's fixed in the processes. If there's a mess left over, you need to make sure that job supervisor is going in and looking at everything and making sure it's all cleaned up. Also, your competitors. So a really big opportunity is looking what the competitors people are complaining about with their competitors. If they did something poor, include that in your processes, make sure you're doing it differently. Web analytics, that's all our digital marketing stuff that we do. So you can do Google Analytics, use Google Search Console. These are free. They'll tell you if people are coming to your website, if your traffic's increasing, if people are bouncing off the website too quickly. There's tons of other tools you can utilize as well, paid and free. Okay, so identifying the pain points. Maybe it's here's some potential pain points. Maybe it's taking too long to receive an estimate. They weren't happy with the cleanup. Keep going back to that one because it's pretty common. Maybe the yard was getting destroyed, like a truck was on there and it was a wet day and you just tore up the grass. Maybe it's just taking a very long time for the job to be completed. If it's a large deck job and issues came up with supplies, things like that, maybe it's just taking a while. You want to think about all the pain points in the entire process. So initial contact to post sale. Because during this, they could be thinking, when is the estimate? Maybe that's taking a while. When am I actually going to get that quote? I was promised it. When are things going to be delivered? That kind of thing. So finding these pain points, here's just kind of some examples of potential pain points that you could be seeing with customers. Financing. So if people don't have the money to pay for it all at once, you can finance it. Online research and usability, communication. Communication might be poor. Job delays, always going to keep talking about the mess that might have been made. And then the process, the support warranty. So if there's a problem with the job at all, they can go in and they need to be able to ask customers about that and see ways to fix it. Okay, so we want to figure out which customer touch points there are throughout the whole process, because there's going to be a bunch, and depending on your business, there could be quite a few more or less than others. So some potential ones, or some very likely ones, or something every business will share when they first contact you, however that may be. When you meet them at the job for a quote, if you're using texts or emails to give them updates, using a CRM, there's a lot of touch points you could think of. So we wanted to find every single one. Every time a customer is communicated with by your company, that needs to be recorded. But all of these touch points are going to create an entire journey with the customer. And understanding how they feel at each touch point, that's going to help you focus on improving each individual phase of the cycle, of your sales cycle. You're never really going to have a one size fits all. So depending on the different buyer persona, you want to have a way of effectively dealing with them. Okay, so in the beginning of the sales cycle, there's going to be a lot of potential touch points. These might be social media, email, word of mouth, yard signs, billboards, your trucks, door knocking if you're doing that, phone calls, office space, SEO, Google Ads. So anything, basically anything they might see online, or if you have your logo or business advertised anywhere else. You got to look at all of these and you got to make sure the message matches what you're trying to convey. If you're a really high-end brand, maybe your price is a little bit more. You don't want to be talking constantly about discounts and discounts you can offer. You want to be seen as the premier company. Okay, so aside from the obvious goals that a buyer would have, clearly if they're looking for a fence or deck, that's a goal. They want to install a fence or a deck. But they also are going to have goals even before that, more granular goals, smaller goals. Their goals might be to really scour the marketplace to find different options for fencing or decking. If they want to, they want to know everything about the different options out there to figure out which one's best for them and to pay a fair price. They don't want to overpay. Also, obtaining all the information about the service. So knowing exactly the whole process. A lot of people like to know that, everything that they're going to be involved with, even before they contact you and ask about it. They want to know what they're getting into. Once you have all these touch points established and these pain points, you want to look at and see what needs to be tweaked throughout the process. So you have them all defined. You want to go in and see what can you do, how can you adjust your processes to improve that. Any things that are potential problems, needs to be discussed with your team and figured out how you can fix it. One example, you might take we kind of keep talking about this, is communication. You take a step back and you realize people are complaining about the lack of communication during production. So you want to make sure you have enough communication for your customers. And then you're going to improve it. So this whole customer journey map is actually a document you can come back to and improve what you should be. It should be continuously evolving. But in my business, I'm a big fan of improving things in phases. So the first phase would be to just do something, get started. You don't ever want to have the goal of getting the first round or phase perfect, because it's just impossible. But phase two, you improve a little bit more, you get a little bit better. Same with phase three, on and on, you continue in these iterations. And then, within 5-10 years down the road, if you're continually making tweaks, you're not even going to recognize your business. It's going to be so much better, so much more efficient. It's very difficult, I know, to feel like a ton of progress is being made sometimes with your business if the bottom line isn't increasing. But, operations, customer experience, these are all really important. So even if you're spending months on improving this as your primary focus, it might not seem like you're improved much, but can promise you it will be, and it will be better for you and the business going forward. Also, you're going to have competition, and competition wants to do the same thing you do. They want to be the go-to person, go-to company, fencing or decking company in the area. So if you're not improving, and they are, they're going to be passing you. So the only way to do this is continually improving and get ahead of them and basically keep going where they can't catch you. Really, really important. To only real way to be the go-to company. Okay, so here's the map again. Right now, we're going to actually go through and fill this out. I'm going to give you an example. So you're going to want to take some notes here. Get out a piece of paper. If you type, get out a notepad. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? So this is where we're going to be actually executing. We're going to be putting things in place to actually improve the experiences for your customers. And just to remind you, we have across the top, these are going to be the customer, or sorry, the vertical are going to be the customer actions. So doing, thinking, touch points, pain, and opportunities. And then the up top, you have awareness, interest and consideration, purchase and decision, delivery, and loyalty. And we're about to go through each one of these individually. All right, so first we're going to talk about the customer stages. First one's going to be awareness. So customer is trying to learn about the potential solutions to their problems and recognizing their need. They know that they need a fencing company, or they need a solution like a fence. So they're going to be figuring out what they can do. If they have a pet, maybe they're going in a visible fence, or maybe they want a regular one. They're trying to get aware of what it is they need. Consideration is they're going to be looking for those types of companies that offer what they want. So in our case, they decide they want a fence or a deck. They got to look and see the potential solutions out there. The decision. So when the customer makes the conscious choice to actually use your service, that's going to be the decision stage. They decided that you are the business they want to work with. Delivery. This one's self-explanatory. This is when you're actually going out and providing the services and seeing how they are receiving it. And their feedback, how much they enjoy the process, if they got everything they're looking for. Loyalty. So this one's often maybe not ignored, but sometimes forgotten. Once the service has been provided, what are you doing after that to gain customer loyalty, to get them to come back or to refer you again? And then these are going to be your customer actions. So these are the vertical ones on the map, on the customer journey map. First one's doing. So what is a customer doing in each one of these stages? What are their actions and behaviors? What are they thinking? What are their feelings? What are their emotions? What are their motivations? What are their needs? You want to try and get inside their heads so you can, help tackle these issues and get ahead of them. The touch points. So there's a ton of touch points, as we've already talked about. But these are each point of interaction between the customer and the company. And then the pain points. We talked about these as well. Any kind of pain that they might be experiencing, anything that's bothering them, anything that they're hesitant about. We want to know all of these so we can address them. And then the best part, all these pain points are opportunities as well. So these are going to be the summary of the problems and questions the customers might have. And then also part of the action steps that need to happen, to improve and fix these pain points. Okay, so this is a filled out customer journey map. I just did an example so you could kind of see exactly how it can be laid out depending on the customer. In this example, this is going to be basically we'll call him Frank. We'll call him Frank. So basically, Frank is somebody that you met at a local fishing competition. He met a sales rep for your fencing or decking company, and they started chatting up and saw that you have a wrap truck, and they said, "Hey, I need a fence. Let me wants to get a little bit more information." I'm sure that's happened to you before at a gas station. Somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, you do fencing or decking?" And inquire it that way. So Frank here, he doesn't know what to look for in a fencing or decking contractor. So we're going to go through each stage. The awareness, and doing stage. He's saw the truck. He started a conversation. He realized you're at a fencing competition. He loves, fishing competition, and he loves fishing. So he started a conversation. And from there, he's going to say, he's thinking, I don't know how to find a good contractor. I don't know what that entails. I don't know anything about fencing. So Jake's confused exactly how to pick the right company. The touch points at that stage are going to be the conversations with the sales rep, whoever's at the fishing competition, and the card exchange, giving them a business card, link to their website, and then also putting them into the CRM. The pain points. He needs to install a fence. He's got a dog. He has small kids, and he doesn't want them running away. So he wants to keep his whole yard contained and everything else out. That's his big pain point. The opportunity there. You can explain to him the big opportunity of a fence, why it would solve those problems, and also help him, tell him all they're doing is providing a free quote, and also understanding his options with materials. So letting them know that there's a lot of different types of fence or decking he can do. And, once he understands and kind of visualizes what it could look like on his property, it's going to lead to the excitement. All right. So then we're going to go over interest and consideration. So what he's doing at this point is he's waiting for a call. He's waiting for you to give him a ring because you said you would. He's thinking, I can't wait to see the different options. I'm excited. I am tired of not having a fence and my dog running away or my kids getting out of reach. And It's going to be so nice to have a new fence for me and my family. Touch points. So minimize that. Touch points, that's going to be the actual call that the sales rep reaches out to and sets an appointment. The pain point, going to be the same thing. He needs a fence, wants to contain his dog and small kids and make his family safer. The opportunities. So here you're going to continue to reinforce the value of a new fence, and then also talking about the professionalism of your company, any accolades, why you're the right company for him to choose. All right, and then into the third column, the purchase and decision. So from here, even if they had a good vibe with you, they're likely going to be doing some Google research to see what else is out there. They're going to be looking at your reviews, asking friends or family, maybe checking you out on Better Business Bureau, and then reviewing different estimates. From there, he's going to be thinking, can I afford it? It's expensive. Like, is there financing available? Is this price worth the cost compared to other cheaper estimates? Will I get the quality and peace of mind if I go with them? And also maybe potential problems later on. Will they come and fix it? Can I trust this company to come and fix it? So the touch points for this stage is going to be your sales presentation, any emails or text messages, dropping in, going to talk to them, showing the different materials you offer, even a text message with a video. From here, you have the pain points. They want to be comfortable with their decision. They're spending a lot of money. They want to make sure that this business, your business, is the right one to be using. They need to install a fence. That is their pain point, but they want to make the right decision for that. The opportunities there, continuing to educate them on the process, getting them to know the different products, the durability of the material they choose. If they chose a wood fence versus a vinyl, the wear and tear they could potentially have, how long each can last, any kind of maintenance, along with financing options. From there, you're going to go into the delivery. So when you're actually delivering the services, they're wondering, or this is when they're moving into delivering. They're calling you, they're still trying to get some researching, and they're looking for gotchas, anything that doesn't add up in their mind. And then they're also thinking, when is the install going to happen? If they come here, are they going to be tearing on my yard? Will it leave in a mess? Will there be screws or nails left in the yard and I run it over with my tractor? Everyone is going to be worried about that. The touch points. So any kind of paperwork you provide to them, any kind of expectations you send over in a packet, phone calls, emails, text messages, videos, a welcome call, the color selection calls, all of these touch points are going to help ease their mind and make, confirm that they chose the right decision, the right company. And potential pain that they might experience in delivery might be job delays. So maybe they're going to be inconvenienced by the company being there. Maybe they would have to work from home that day, or they have to take off work. It's an inconvenience for them. Maybe they're just worried that everything won't go exactly what's in their mind because they didn't set the expectations properly, or maybe they just can't watch the football game. They don't want to worry about people working in the house on a Sunday, if you work on Sundays. I guess it'd be Saturday too. But opportunities would be, in this stage of the delivery stage, is more educating them on the process, letting them know what could go wrong, what they're doing to prevent that, and explaining the process. All right. So now we're moving into the loyalty phase, when people are done, the job is done, and you want to make sure that job is done right, but they're also very excited moving forward to refer you. So you want to be talking about the business. You want to be asking them to leave reviews, double checking the work, researching. They're going to be researching any warranty info about the fence to see if something goes wrong, when can somebody come out to fix it. They're thinking, hopefully, that it was painless and they want to refer this company. And the touch points, you're going to have your final walkthrough, show them everything that was done. You want to do follow-ups, 30, 60, 90-day follow-ups, calls, emails, texts, survey them, send them their warranty, and video the highlights of the warranty. Also, you could send them a gift, something that adds a lot of, everybody appreciates is some kind of small gift. You could even include the gift as a way to get reviews as well. Potential pain points. Job didn't go well. You didn't leave. It didn't turn out the way they wanted. Maybe there was a problem with the color, and there's an anxiety of, the proper installation, thinking that it wasn't done properly, and it's, the next storm's going to blow it over. And if that does happen, if somebody will actually come out and fix it. And the opportunity there, you got to make sure you fix everything. Hopefully your processes are laid out so you don't have to worry about that so much and things get done correctly the first time. But you want to make sure they know if something happens, you got their back, you're going to come out and fix it. And then another opportunity is personalized gifting. They just spent a lot of money with you. You should treat them right and give them something nice. So this is just one example. Of course, this is one way you could lay it out. This is one that I think is fairly common, this type of persona, but there's a lot of others out there. It depends on where you're targeting to. But this is one experience you can one example you can kind of use to map out your own experience. Okay, so if you want to retain your customers, create raving fans, you have to lay out this customer journey and perfect it. That's part of the equation and a very important part, but you also need to be getting leads. So if you do want to get more lead flow, more customers coming to you, we can certainly help with that. Fence and Deck Marketers is full service digital marketing for fencing and decking companies. We do websites, we do SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads, social media posting, really all types of marketing. We get a lot of leads for our customers. So if you're looking to get more leads and have a nice sync up this lead generation with your customer journey, feel free to contact us. If you just have questions, we're happy to talk as well and hear you out. So you can contact us with that number there, 410-261-4334, or go to deckfencemarketers.com.